Greetings once again from Sydney, Australia, Earth. This is the World Shooting Parasport Championship Sydney 2019. It's been a busy Sunday, day 2 of the championships. 5 finals in total. This is final number 5. It's the R10, the 10-meter air rifle standing mixed team SH1 final. My name's Jamie, and I am joined for this final by Jack Rossiter, who is Australian. That's not fair, is it? But you've matured, blossomed. You've blossomed, haven't you, Jack? Now your mic's on. We can hear about your blossoming. so yeah, how are you finding? This is your first experience of a Paralympic event?
Yeah, this is the first time being at a Paralympic event, seeing how everything's run, and yeah, I like it.
We should mention that you are actually you're not competing here. You're actually here working with Shooting Australia, aren't you?
Yeah, so at the moment I'm doing an internship through uni with Shooting Australia, so I've been helping out with the marketing team and getting to know the sport from the other side, basically.
Yeah, that must be an interesting but possibly strange experience for you, because you're so used to that other side.
For sure, it's definitely different, very interesting, and actually I'm learning a lot. I didn't realize how much there was actually going on behind the scenes. Now seeing that, I have a new appreciation for everyone working at the events behind the scenes, for sure, yeah.
But you're still firmly involved with the shooting side of it, aren't you?
Of course, yeah, I'm still deeply involved in the shooting with plenty of competition years still planned.
Yeah, man. Well, let's talk about this competition, the R10 10-meter air rifle standing mixed team SH1 event. So, if you are a follower of the mixed team event, it's gone through a few transformations. I think more transformations than Lady Gaga in like the last couple of years, but this is where we're at here with this event. So Jack, correct me if I'm wrong. We have 5 teams out there, 10 athletes in total, so there are 2 athletes per team. And in terms of shooting order, the athlete on the left has to shoot first. It's left, right, it has to go in that order. We'll have 3 series of 5 shots, and they'll be fired in a time of 300 seconds. And that will be followed by the single shots, which are fired in a time of 60 seconds. After every 2 single shots, one of our teams will leave the competition until we get to our final 2 teams to decide the gold medal. Then we'll have 3 single shots. But when we say 3 single shots, we actually mean 6 shots, because it's 1 per individual team member. Does that sound about right to you, Jack?
Sounds about right to me, yeah.
Good. Well, hopefully we're both right then. We're going to find out quite soon, but they are the rules. And also something interesting that only happens in these team events is that the coaches can actually ask for a timeout, in which case they get 30 seconds to verbally communicate with their team members. You're a shooter yourself, Jack. Why do you think something like that would be useful for a coach?
Well, a coach can use it to not only help out his own team, but disrupt another team. So, for example, if there's a team that's shooting really well and the finals run in a pretty strong rhythm, they might be feeling a groove. The coach can call 30 seconds to disrupt that, speak to his own team, and try to reset everything, which might many. But we've been practicing it back at home. We've had our coaches in our domestic competitions around Australia interact within the finals, calling timeouts and planning strategies, basically.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to meet our teams. We've got 2 teams from Korea, we've got a team from Slovakia, China, Ukraine as well. But we're going to hand over to Shaq, who is our announcer here in Sydney, and he is going to introduce our audience here and you guys at home to our teams.
Veronika Vadovichova, Radek Malenovsky. Team number 2, the Republic of Korea. Kang Myung-sun, Lee Song-chul. Team number 3, the People's Republic of China. Zhang Kui-ping and Dong Chao. Team number 4, Ukraine. Irina Shetnik, Andriy Doroshenko. And team number 5 is the Republic of Korea. Lee Yunri and Park Jinho. So we are streaming live, as I said.
So we've met our 5 teams. There are 2 teams from Korea. So on firing point B it is Korea Team 2, just to clarify that. And on E we have Korea Team 1. Just want to mention as well, Irina Shetnik of Ukraine, who we saw then as her team were introduced. She was competing in one of the individual finals yesterday, and I think she's the happiest person I've ever met.
Seems so. I've not caught her not smiling yet.
Exactly, yeah. Even when she was eliminated, she was just full of smiles. And actually, as the final progressed and she was sitting by her coach at the chair, she was clapping along and
yeah, she was
cheerleading
getting
the crowd.
involved.
Yeah, it's great to see. So keep an eye on her for some positive vibes during this final, which is about to get going. So as mentioned, we have 3 series of 5 shots. So we'll have the first series of those 5 shots coming up in just a moment, and our teams have 300 seconds for the series. And a reminder that the athlete on the left has to shoot first, followed by the athlete on the right, back to left, back to right, and so on. If they shoot out of order, there's I think a penalty deduction.
Yeah, I think it's a 2-point penalty.
2-point penalty.
I believe so.
So if you shoot out of order, which I like to call bang out of order, you will be punished for it. And how are you finding? Because you know, when you start in the sport, you become acclimatized to individual events, and now you know there is a focus on the team events, particularly the mixed team events. Was it a difficult transition to make?
At the beginning it was, because the final specifically was so different, being run the way it is now. Having the left shooter shoot first, the right shooter shoot second, there was new tactics involved to learn, and there was a lot of experimentation, especially for the coaches, picking who was going to shoot on the left, who was going to shoot on the right. At the beginning, we thought we'd have the quicker shooter shooting on the right, because the left shooter can take as much time as they want, and then the right shooter can manage to shoot faster if they need to, if they run out of time. But maybe it works better the other way around. We never really found out. There wasn't much time to play with it.
And do coaches tend to pair the same athletes together all the time, or is there a lot of mixing around going on?
A bit of mixing around. Usually it's the top 2 qualifiers that are going together just to be able to make the final first. And then a lot of the time they're training together so they can sort out tactics once they get there, I guess.
Well, we're up and running here in Sydney. So, of course, the individual scores are combined to give us total scores at the end of each series. And at the moment, in these very early days, the highest score we have is for Ukraine. But that's changed already.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Korea 1 and Ukraine go, being the top 2 qualifiers.
Yeah, so Korea 1 were the top qualifier, weren't they?
Yep, Korea 1 top qualifier.
Followed by Ukraine.
Yes.
Because we've had so many shotgun finals here today, just in my head for a moment there I was thinking, oh yes, because it's best to qualify first, because you get a better bib number and that will keep you in the competition in a tiebreak situation. But of course we're not in shotgun anymore. I've got to get it out of my head.
Yes.
.7 for Korea Team 2 in the mix there. But actually for you, this format, it's not the format you follow anymore, is it, for the Olympic shooting?
No, not anymore. So the IWSF has changed the finals rules a couple of times this year, actually. So the
Just this year?
Just this year a couple of times, yeah. So the final we're running now is quite different. You don't have to have a specific shooter shooting first or second, and it's a point system. So out of the highest shots, they combine it, and then it's 1 versus 1 for the medal matches, and then 2 points is awarded to the team that's got the better score from the 2 shots. And if it's a tie, then it's 1 point allocated each, and it's the first team to 16 points that wins.
Cool. Are you enjoying that format?
I think so. I think it makes it more exciting, to be honest, because you can have ties. It's easy to have comebacks as well. You can get on a roll, win a few points in a row, and then change the course of things with a timeout, maybe. So.
And a 10.8, an individual 10.8 in the mix for Slovakia there, followed by a 10. And how did you first get into shooting sport, Jack?
So there's a club near my house where I grew up, and they basically had come and try days. So I went and tried, and then I enjoyed it a lot. So I was going back for the fun of it, and I got really involved and started going to local competitions, and it just progressed from there, really.
So you actually got into it off your own back, because often when I speak to athletes, the general response at least is that, like, my mum was a shooter or my dad was a shooter. It was in the family already. But so you went to this club off your own back? Or?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. With most cases it is through family. For my sister it was through me, I suppose. But yeah, there was a come and try day, so I decided to go along. Thought I might find it fun, and yeah, loved it. Kept going ever since.
Yeah, and here you are. You've got 2 shooting sport hats on now, haven't you?
That's right.
In fact, 3. You're a shooter yourself. You're working for Shooting Australia, and you're commentating right now, broadcasting to the world on the Paralympic Games YouTube channel and the World Shooting Parasport Facebook page as well. That's where we're at right now, broadcasting live from Sydney, Australia. The World Shooting Parasport Championships. This is the R10 10-meter air rifle standing mixed team SH1 final. 5 teams out there, 2 from Korea, 1 who came 4th in qualifying, and they are 0.7 ahead of career team 1, who, as Jack also mentioned, were the leaders in terms of qualifying into this final. They're in 3rd place, and Slovakia are in 4th. The People's Republic of China, their team is in 5th place. Here are the standings for you at home. Jack, what do you make of them so far?
I mean, so far it's early days, but having a 2-point lead right out of the gate certainly does help a lot. So
it does, and they've come into this final as well, haven't they? Ukraine, full of confidence, as you said, a strong qualifying round for them.
For sure. We saw them in the tunnel before they walked out, and they looked pretty confident. So we could expect more good shots to come, I think.
You felt vibes of confidence.
I was feeling something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the others?
They were all smiling too, actually.
Yeah, okay, everyone
looks like they're having a good time.
But don't forget, Ukraine, they do have Miss Shetnik, Irina, who is, once again, the happiest person in Australia right now, I would say. Possibly the world.
I believe so. Maybe. She'd be rivaling a few people, I'm sure.
So we're up and running again. This is the second of 3 series of 5 shots. So we've talked about the standings just then, but really, it's very early days. Very early days. No team is out of this yet. So what's next for you in terms of the, I don't mean what you're having for dinner or anything like that, how you're getting home, but what's next for you in terms of your shooting sport calendar?
So in 3 weeks' time we have the Oceania Championships. That's also held here in Sydney, and that's an opportunity for us to win quota places for the Olympics. So I'm in 2 teams for that opportunity. I'm in 3P and air rifle. So I'll go home, start training and preparing for that event.
And how have you found the transition then? We touched on this earlier, but how have you found the transition from going from these junior events where we first met in Seoul, Germany, for example, to the adult competitions, senior competitions?
Yeah, so the World Cups is a lot more competition than the Junior World Cups, and the first few years is pretty hard actually, because you see yourself drop a long way in the leaderboard, and you just see the long road ahead of you with all the hard work. But I feel like after a few years, if you can survive that and keep the motivation up to train hard, you're in a pretty good spot if you have good years of junior experience behind you. So at the moment I'm feeling pretty good. I feel like I'm improving every day, and I just love training and getting better at the moment. So,
and I suppose as well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing it's going to be a hard road, of course, but one sort of bit of learning curve you can get from going from junior to seniors is that with the juniors you're all peers, but when you go into seniors there's athletes of all ages and all levels of experience as well, so therefore there's a lot more people for you to learn from around you.
For sure, yeah. It's way more diverse in the seniors, and there's a lot more experience around the range too. So chatting with some of the guys, you do learn a lot more, and it's really good. You can use a lot of that when you go to the big competitions, some of the World Cups, and talk to the other guys. You can always try to pick something up, which is very helpful.
And what about this range? It's a range you presumably know pretty well. I know you're Adelaide based, but it's kind of it's been a bit, for Australia standards anyway, I'm sure, been kind of chilly these last few days. What do you think to the conditions of this range and the weather in terms of this final in the hall at the moment?
It has been a bit cold, especially for October. Hopefully it warms up later in the week. But for air rifle, it's always pretty similar. The air rifle range here for qualification is very good. Usually enjoy shooting on that range, and the finals range is excellent here too for air rifle. It's just 50 meter where it tends to pick up a little bit in Sydney. It's notorious for being a little bit extra windy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the second series of 5 shots. We'll have one more after this, and then it's into the single shots. After every 2 single shots, we will say goodbye to a team from this competition until there are 2 teams remaining, and then there will be 3 single shots. And by single shots, I mean individual shots. So by 3, I mean 6. I worked that out without even using a calculator, Jack.
Nice.
Thank you.
Carried the one and all.
Yep. A lot of concentration out there, which is key for this sport. Focus. That's the main ingredient. One of the main ingredients anyway, isn't it?
That's it. Focus, concentration, determination.
So, all shots have been fired in this second series. Let's have a look at the standings so far. It is Ukraine still the leaders. They've got a total of 208.5, and that difference between first and second has gone up. It's now 3.7 separating Ukraine and China in second place. They're on a total of 204.8. Behind in third is Slovakia and our 2 team 3. So between 4 of the teams, it's quite slim differences, but then Ukraine are, I don't want to say running away with it, but that lead is increasing.
Yeah, they're looking pretty comfortable at the front at the moment, shooting very consistent, so if they can carry that through in the next series, they'll be looking pretty good for the single shots, I think.
Yeah, and that's the name of the game. Get as many points on the board as you can, particularly in these series, because the single shots, that is where the real business begins of this final. And then the eliminations come thick and fast. 10.5, the first shot for Slovakia. A couple of 10.4s, one for Ukraine, one for Korea 1. There's a low at 9.6 for Korea 2 there, and a 10.1 meanwhile for China.
Seen a bit of a resurgence from China and Slovakia after the first series being the bottom 2 spots, going up to second and third, so
yep, that's true. Could be anyone's final, and it was almost a surprise, wasn't it, to see Korea 1 down there anyway, because as you said, they were flying in qualifying with that total of 836.
yep, averaging 418 is pretty high between the 2 of them for sure, so if scores that high you would expect a little bit more in the final, but it's still relatively early, not even halfway through yet. So
well, we've had a 10.9. You must have heard us talking about them. Korea Team 1, a 10.9 for them in the mix there.
yeah, decided to pick it up a bit.
10.8 for Slovakia. .5 in there for China. This is the final series of 5 shots. And if you're just joining us, this is the 10 meter air rifle standing at mixed team SH1 event R10. And we are live from Sydney, Australia. It's the World Shooting Parasport Championships 2019. And I'm joined by Jack Rossiter, rifle shooter from Australia. It's the final series of 5 shots, and then the real business begins of the single shots.
Looks like Slovakia is catching up a little bit to Ukraine, actually, surprisingly as well. Well, as I say that, Ukraine shoots a 10.8, but still shows that most of the teams are still in. A lot can change.
It can, yeah. It'll be interesting to see the differences between our sides after this final series of 5 shots, because Ukraine increased it. It was 2, the difference between first and second, I think, after series 2, and then it went up to 3.7. It was 7, wasn't it? Yes,
yep.
After the second series. So, like you said, Slovakia are fighting back. 10.5 their last shot. 10.6 the last shot for Ukraine, and that's after the 10.8 that Jack mentioned.
It looks like Slovakia is getting stronger throughout the final though, so maybe going into the single shots they could be feeling really confident, got themselves in a rhythm, and might even improve.
It's a good time to hit your stride, isn't it, really, going into the single shots?
Definitely. When the eliminations come around, you want to be putting them in deep.
One was a 10.6 and a 9.7 for Korea Team 2, and they are the side in 5th place. And as you mentioned, Jack, I'm looking at the standings now. You mentioned Slovakia were crawling back into this ever so slightly. The difference is now 2.3 between themselves and Ukraine in first place. China Team 1, who had been going well, they've dropped into 3rd place, but they're just 1.1 behind Slovakia in 2nd. Korea Team 1 in 4th. They're 0.7 behind the Chinese. And a little bit of work to do for Korea Team 2. They are 2 behind the safety of 4th place, because we're now 2 shots, 2 single shots. That's 4 per team away from our first elimination. What do you reckon to that difference? 2 points, Joe?
Well, in the individual matches, 2 points is actually quite a bit, but with 2 people shooting at the same time and 4 shots total, 2 points isn't really that as big as it seems. So I think they might be able to catch up to Korea Team number 1 if they shoot well, but it's still asking for a bit much.
Well, let's see what they can do. So that's Korea Team 2 in 5th place. First shot was a 10.4 from Slovakia, the same score from Ukraine, their first shot. The same from Korea Team 1. Oh, that's not what Korea Team 2 needed, a 9.7. Slovakia on your screen at the moment. Their second shot was a 10. Waiting on Korea Team 2 and China for their final shots. 10.5 for Korea Team 2, 10.4 for China. So I think we've had all of our first single shots. Yes, we have. So there is no change right at the top. It's still Ukraine leading there. And for Korea Team 2, the task has got even more difficult.
Yeah, 2.5 points the difference now. In 2 shots, that's pretty steep. But you have to get a little bit lucky, I think, to be able to catch that, but it's not looking so good.
It is steep, but as you said before, it's not as steep as it would seem if it was an individual event, at least, because they still have got 2 shots to overturn that. But as you said, it's still a bit of an ask, but anything's possible. So that's Korea Team 2 in 5th place, looking to make up that ground. 2.5 to force a shoot-off between their rival teammates, I guess. So Korea Team 1, Ukraine still leading the way at the top. 0.4 the difference between China in 3rd and Slovakia in 2nd place. So we've got single shots now to decide the first elimination from this final. Looks like Korea Team 1 have done enough to keep them at bay. Still waiting for a final shot for Korea Team 2, 10.5. So it wasn't enough for Korea Team 2. They will take 5th place. They qualified in 4th. They finished the final in 5th. They were 2.3 shy of China, who dropped down into 4th place. But that's Korea Team 2, Kang Mi-young and Lee Song-chul taking 5th place for Korea Team 2, the Republic of Korea Team 2. So it's still Ukraine in the lead. Slovakia in 2nd place, and it's China now in the danger zone, which is 4th place, because we're 2 single shots away from that position being decided, and that is a very slim margin, isn't it, Jack, between 4th and 3rd?
Yeah, very slim. You could say that both teams are on the bubble there. 0.1 in it after 4 shots, really pretty much the same score.
It is. Now we've got a little bit of a gap between 3rd and 2nd, and it is still Ukraine in the lead, but it's not a huge lead. It's not a huge lead.
No, 2.1 the difference. It's kind of the same as before, just slimmed down by 0.2 from the last 5-shot series.
So there are our team members for Korea 2, Kang and Lee. Got a 10.5 registered for Slovakia. For Ukraine. Slovakia followed that first shot with a 10.3, so they've had their 2, as have Korea Team 1, 9.9 there. We have China on your screen at the moment, 10.2 for them. Their total is 358. So all of our scores are in, and China now in 3rd place. Korea Team 1 in 4th, 0.5 behind the team from China in 3rd spot, and that's what this next shot is all about, to decide 4th place. So 0.5, that's slim enough to overturn, isn't it?
For sure, yeah. China's not out of it yet. Korea's not out of it yet. So 0.5, 2 shots. I think anything could happen with this.
Yeah, well, here we go. 2 shots. Well, 1 shot per athlete. Athlete on the left must shoot first, athlete on the right shoots second. They have 2 in total per team. 0.5 the difference between 4th and 3rd place. This is Slovakia currently in 2nd behind Ukraine. They've got a total of 370.3. A 10 for Korea, 10.7 for China. That's what they need to keep the team from Korea at bay. 8 for Korea. So that puts some pressure on China. A 9.9, but it's still not enough. 0.3 separating China and Korea. So our 2nd team from Korea will go out now, taking 4th place at these World Championships. Korea Team 1, who qualified in a top spot. That's Lee Yoon-ri and Park Jin-ho. So they take 4th place for their country. A total of 388.8 that they sign out on. So we have 3 teams remaining, and 1.7 is the difference now between top spot Ukraine, who have been up there pretty much since the get-go, haven't they?
I think they've been up there since the first series, but the margin's 1.7. It's saying pretty consistent. You could say Ukraine and Slovakia are shooting pretty similar scores right now.
They are. Just 1.7 separates them. Meanwhile, China are in 3rd place, the bronze medal position. As you can see on your screen now, 389.1 is there. They're going to bow out with the bronze medal. It's still slim differences all round between the teams. And we do have 2 single shots, 4 in total per team, before the bronze medal is decided. This is Irina Shetnik on your screen right now for Ukraine. Going very well indeed in top spot. 10.3's come in meanwhile for Slovakia. 10.2 for Ukraine. Zhang of China with a 10.5. .5 and a 10.3 for China. And that calls time on those single shots. So, looking at the table, it's still China, and they've got their work cut out. But it was a difficult one for Ukraine there, wasn't it? About 9.5. They're still leading the way. But looking at China, they've got a bit more work to do to catch Slovakia. Do you think they can do it, Jack?
1.2. I think they can do it. It's possible.
With 2 shots, it's very possible, isn't it?
Yep. I believe so. Ukraine shooting 9.5 on the last shot certainly mixes things up a bit as well. So
yeah, they had the lowest total between the 3 sides in that round of shots there of 19.7. The highest was actually China, 20.8. And this is Slovakia on your screen at the moment. They are in second place, 10.7 there. First of their 2 scores to come through.
Very solid shot.
Oh, 9.7 for Ukraine, following on from that 9.5. 10.5 meanwhile for China. 10.5 for Slovakia. That should be enough to keep them in. And a 10 for China. So, with a difference of 1.6 separating second and third, the bronze medal will go to the People's Republic of China. And that is Zhang Qiuping and Dong Chao taking the bronze medal away with them from these World Championships here in Sydney. They finished on a total of 430.4. As they accept the applause from the crowd here. And we just have 2 teams remaining. We've got 3 single shots. That's 6 shots in total per team. And just 0.3 separating them. So this is not only delicately poised, but also, for the first time, we've had a little bit of a shake-up at the top in terms of personnel, haven't we?
Yep, so for the first time, Slovakia has reached the top. Ukraine's gotten to second place, so mixing things up a bit for sure.
Delicately poised, and that's what we want going into these final shots. It's anyone's gold medal, really.
Yeah, only 0.3 in it for sure.
And you mentioned Slovakia and their kind of their gradual rise. Was it the second? They had not a bad, but they had a slow first series, didn't they? And
yeah, after the first series, they were in 4th place, I believe, and then ever since then, they've just slowly but surely built up throughout the final.
And they have reached the top for the first time. So this is a new experience for Ukraine anyway in this final.
See how they manage to deal with it. If I was the coach in this scenario, I'd probably try to call a timeout to throw Slovakia off and bring myself back in if I was the Ukrainian coach, but
it hasn't happened yet. But it still could. 10.5 so far for both Slovakia and Ukraine. Nothing between them. 9.7 for Slovakia, their second shot. What have Ukraine got? 10.1.
0.1 in it.
Look at that, Ukraine back to the top. And as Jack said, just 0.1 in it. So Ukraine have a total of 452.6. Slovakia dropping down into second. They've got 452.5. There was a 0.4 difference during the 2 shots there. The combined totals. So we've got 2 more single shots. And it couldn't be too much closer. The current leaders on your screen right now. Irina Shetnik of Ukraine.
What are you thinking, Jamie? Last shots?
Thinking about dinner, to be honest. No, yes, last shot. Yeah, wow. I'm not a gambler. I'm not going to promote gambling. I wouldn't put any money on this right now.
No, neither would I. There's nothing in it.
10.6 for Slovakia and 9.8 for Ukraine, so that could well mix things up again. Another shot's come in from each side. 10.2, the second one for Slovakia. What have Ukraine got in response?
10.9 to tie it.
We're still waiting. It's a 10.7. So look at that, Slovakia in the lead, 0.2 the difference. What are you thinking now, Jack?
I'm thinking Slovakia is looking strong, but you never know. 0.2, 2 shots is nothing.
Well, they keep on mixing it up at the top. Slovakia now back there, leading the way with their total of 473.3. The difference is 0.2. It's the final single shot here, so each team has 2 shots remaining. Once again, that difference just 0.2. If we end up with a tie break, then there will be additional single shots fired to settle that tie. Here we go. Ooh, 9.8 for Slovakia.
We'll see.
10.7 for Doroshenko of Ukraine. 10.1 for Slovakia. Looks like Ukraine's gold medal. We're waiting on Shetnik.
Holding for a long time. Oh, she's had to reset. We'll see if she manages.
They're still waiting. Can she pull it off? Can she cement the gold medal for her country?
Less than 10 seconds left.
5, 4, and she fires.
10.0 to win it.
It's enough by 0.6 with a new world record of 493.8. The gold medal goes to Irina Shetnik and Andriy Doroshenko of Ukraine. And she made us wait for that, didn't she?
Yeah. She had to cancel the shot and go for it again because she was waiting too long. A lot of pressure on the last shot for sure, and she managed to handle it, and she finished with a 10.0, shooting the world record and clinching the gold medal.
3 seconds to spare, I think it was, on the clock in the end.
Yeah, wasn't leaving much room for it, that's for sure.
And not only did she clinch the gold medal for a team, a world record as well, 493.8. That was Irina Shetnik along with Andrei Doroshenko clinching that gold medal. The silver goes to Slovakia, who battled hard. They had a slow start to the final, then they ended up in top spot, then they were back in second, then they were back in top. They made it a good final, good fun final, didn't they?
Yeah, for sure. Very, very, very back and forth final towards the end there.
So that's Veronika Vadovichova and Radoslav Malonovsky of Slovakia. And a reminder that the bronze medal representing the People's Republic of China went to Zheng Qiuping and Dong Chao as well. But Ukraine take the gold with a new world record, 493.8 in the R10 10-meter air rifle standing mixed team SH1 final here at the World Shooting Parasport Championships Sydney 2019. Jack Rossiter, rifle shooter from Australia, thank you very much for joining me for this final. How was it for you?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it was great. It's always fun chatting with you while the finals are going on.
I meant how was the final for you, not the experience of getting to sit.
Clinched it at the end.
Yeah, with a difference of 0.6 separating themselves with Slovakia in second place. But we will be back. We're just going to take a short break and we'll be back very soon for the victory ceremonies, not only for this final, but also for other finals that took place here today. So we'll have a whole bunch of victory ceremonies coming up very soon indeed. So don't go anywhere, but just for now, just for a short while, it's goodbye from Sydney.
Anyone who won a medal today, please make your way to the medal assembly area. If you won a medal, please make your way to the medal assembly area. And no cheating.